James, appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Firstly, it's been a pretty strange year to hold the Australian of the Year title. Have you enjoyed the role? What did you get out of it? How did you find it?
It's been a very interesting year. I'm not sure I'd say I've loved it, but it's been certainly an eye-opener, excuse the pun. But, if I'd just been advocating for the fact that diabetes is the leading cause of blindness amongst working-age adults, I think I would have had an easier time. But, actually I came out really trying to determine and to raise awareness of the root cause of type 2 diabetes, which is our poor diet, particularly a diet high in sugar, refined carbohydrates and ultra-processed foods. And so this is a real David and Goliath battle. It's been pretty stressful and must say I'm looking forward to a break in the near future.
Sounds like you deserve it. One of the ideas that you've put forward is a sugar tax in terms of how to, one way that we can try and tackle this problem. How do you envision that sort of policy actually being rolled out here in Australia? It's something that's been talked about for a long time, but we've seen little action.
Exactly, yes. So there are a number of strategies, and a levy or a tax on sugary products is just one. But if we take sugary drinks, for example, there's some solid evidence and good reasoning behind it. In the 10 years leading up to 2017, there was an increase in 30% consumption of sugary drinks in Australia. Sugary drinks have been linked to type 2 diabetes independent of obesity in many studies now, and in 17 separate countries, a levy on sugary drinks has been shown to reduce purchase and consumption. So there's certainly makes sense to me. And if we look at a 20% levy on sugary drinks, that would raise over $600 million, which could be then used to fund health awareness initiatives and to reduce health inequalities that exist in our society. And we know that about 77% of Australians are actually supportive of it. So that would be a good start.
So why is the government so reluctant, do you think? And it's not just this government, it's been successive governments over many years have been very reluctant to introduce a sugar tax. Are the big lobbyists, do they have anything to do with it?
Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. But we're talking a very big industry. We're talking the sugar industry, the sugarcane farmers. We're talking the processed food industry, the sugary drinks industry. This is big. As I mentioned before, it's a David and Goliath battle. And so there are very loud voices. But also, if you look at those industries, they employ a lot of people and it raises a lot of money. But I think more importantly is that the sugarcane growing areas are in marginal seats. And so none of the major parties have been comfortable really broaching that issue. And so I don't think going forward to the next election we'll see any action, but I think it's inevitable, and hopefully with time we'll start to see the government really taking action on some of these critical issues.
Okay, so if a sugar tax isn't a likely option in the near future, what other policies are you looking to have introduced? I mean, how else can we tackle type 2 diabetes? As you point out, it is such a major problem. Are there any other sorts of ideas that you've been putting forward and lobbying for to the government?
Yeah, I've been working really hard all year. 1.7 million Australians with type 2 diabetes, about 2 million with pre-diabetes, many of whom will go on to develop diabetes in the coming years. This is a disease that's also impacting on our children now. It used to be called maturity onset diabetes, and it's devastating Aboriginal people and also people in poorer areas of the country. So this is a critical issue now, and so there are a number of strategies that we can take. And just as an example of some of the advocacy work I've been doing this year, I've written to all of the major supermarket chains and stores, asking them to remove the sugary products from checkout counters where they're preying on our addictions, they're preying on the vulnerable and our kids. And at this point in time, I've only had a positive response from Australia Post, who are removing sugary products from the checkout counters in their corporate stores, over 700 corporate stores. So that's been a great achievement. Another thing I've been doing is writing to all the major universities in South Australia, the Women's and Children's Hospital, asking them to remove sugary products from vending machines in those institutions, and fortunately that's happening. And another obvious thing would be to remove ads for sugary products from free-to-air TV during those hours when our kids are watching, where they're preying on our children. So at this point in time, I haven't had much response from our Broadcasting Commission, but I think ultimately these areas need to be mandated, because when money's involved, it's not something that people are going to give up lightly.
James, you said you didn't love the whole Australian of the Year experience. I guess it is difficult when you get flung into a role like that can be high profile. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure to take on an issue and push a certain agenda during the year. where do you go from here? What is the plan? Obviously, a nice rest over the break, and then where to next for you?
Yeah, so it's, when I received the award on the Australia Day weekend, I had just so many opportunities and speaking engagements booked for the year. I was going to be away almost every weekend, and so it was full of excitement. And then when COVID struck, all of those opportunities dissolved away. So what I did was turn it around and started to create a number of keynote presentations, in particular one about the toxic impact of sugar in type 2 diabetes. And I had to actually actively reach out to associations, organisations, looking for opportunities to share those messages, and I created a number of social media accounts and started to post, hard-hitting messages, really try and raise awareness amongst the Australian public in this field. So yeah, looking forward to a break. I think I've had quite significant reach using the social media platform. One of my posts a couple of months ago received 150,000 plus views. So, I think maybe the year that I've been able to have more impact than I might have otherwise done. So I feel quite satisfied with the year. As I mentioned, it was a little stressful, a few sleepless nights. So looking forward to a break. And next year, I'm actually looking at early retirement from my ophthalmic profession. So I may well continue to advocate in this area. I've applied to be a part of the expert committee for the Australian Dietary Guidelines review. So I'm sure I'll continue to advocate in this area.
And just finally, James, any hot tips from you as to who you'll be handing over the mantle to? Who's the favourite, do you think, for our next Australian of the Year?
Yes, I haven't actually looked at who's the favourite, and I'll have to study the TAB to see who's the favourite at the moment. But no, I'm not going to release any of my tips at this stage.
Probably a smart idea. Look, I think Brendan Murphy might be in the running, and he might be a hot favourite. But we'll have to wait at the end of January. All will be revealed. Congratulations on your year, James, as Australian of the Year, and best of luck for whatever comes next.
Thank you so much, Ash. All the best to you too.